when KCR fought and his party fought for Telangana, we all thought that when he became the chief minister, we all thought he was going to be an amazing chief minister because the speeches he made were amazing. But when he actually became the chief minister, it started dying down. You know, I'm not contesting election because I am a woman, therefore I chickened out. They do not understand that only a woman could have made this sacrifice. We are here at this junction where we have a chance, Telangana has a chance of changing the government. I should not make a big mountain, a big deal out of my party because my party is not the big deal. I am not the big deal. Nobody is the big deal. It's the people that's the big deal. Actually, I do not think my father would have imagined this because as a child, growing up years, I was always against politics as a career. Being a woman in politics in India is a very, very difficult thing.
Hello, I'm Dhanya, Rajendran, and my colleague Pooja, Prasanna. We are in Telangana covering Telangana elections. This is the News Minute and News Laundry joint coverage. And today we have a special politician, the first woman politician, in fact, to start a political party in the Telugu states, YS Sharmila. Welcome to the News Minute. You have obviously been in news quite a bit because of your decision to not contest the elections. Could you explain why you took that decision? That because it was speculated that you will first contest a lot of seats, then perhaps you will come together with the Congress, but finally you said, I'm not contesting.
Correct. Well, the current scenario in Telangana is that we have the BRS party on one side. We have the BJP party, which is supporting the BRS party. And then we have the Congress party on the other side. And we have parties like mine, which are, you know, a few here and a few there. When I say the BRS party and the BJP party are together, I am alleging that they have a nexus. And I am alleging they have a nexus because no matter how deep Mr. KCR is involved in the corruption that he is in, be it Kaleshwaram or his daughter in the liquor scam or his son in the real estates, in everything, BJP knows about their corruption and still does not do anything. BJP Minister Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman and the Water Resource Minister Mr. Shekhawat, they themselves have come to the Telangana state and have stated that Mr. KCR is using Kaleshwaram project as an ATM. That means this was a project initiated only for commissions and he draws money out of it whenever he so wishes, is their own allegation. So when the finance minister herself knows that there is no viability, financial viability to this project and makes such comments in our state, and the water resource minister himself knows that Mr. KCR is using this project as an ATM, then when the BJP party knows that KCR is involved in this kind of corruption, why aren't they doing anything about it?
So when
isn't Mr. Modi ji the chowkidar? What did he say? He said, na khaunga, na khane dunga. So what happened? Well, here it's, you know, blatantly in open daylight, corruption is so evident and still Modi doesn't do anything. He's actually, BJP party, the central government is actually supposed to be the watchdog. And what are they doing about it? So they do nothing about it. So there is a secret nexus between the BJP and the BRS, that the BRS party will support BJP with the MPs in the coming parliament elections. And right now, the BJP will support Mr. KCR in the assembly elections. So here we have on one side the BJP and the BRS working on behalf of the government, which is an anti-people government. So there are only two sides to this to plainly talk about it. There is only the people side and the anti-people side. Dr. YSR was a congressman for more than 30 years. Almost 32 years he served in the Congress party in various capacities. He served as the MP, MLA, he served as PCC, he served as CLP, he served as Chief Minister twice. So, like it or not, people see YSR as a congressman, and when they see me as YSR's daughter with that legacy of YSR, it so happens that the vote share that I am going to get is the vote share that originally belonged to the Congress because people see my father as a congressman. So if I contest all the 119 constituencies, the vote share I am going to be getting is going to be mostly originally of the Congress vote share. Now in Telangana, we have a Congress, we see a Congress actually standing a chance to winning. We see the Congress, almost regaining its past glory. It started, I believe, when Mr. Rahul Gandhi started his Padayatra, people started taking him seriously. People see him as a credible leader now. That impact has shown in the Karnataka election, and here also, we are on the Congress is on the verge of changing the government. God willing, that happens. But if I happen to contest all the seats, then I happen to pull away the Congress vote share. I happen to split the anti-incumbency vote, which is only going to cause loss to the Congress. In a survey that we conducted, it was established that in 55 constituencies, we are going to considerably influence the Congress vote bank. We are going to considerably dent the Congress vote bank. And in 20 constituencies, we are actually going to help Congress lose. So by contesting, I'm actually helping KCR win. By contesting, I'm pulling the anti-KCR vote. I'm splitting the anti-KCR vote, which is eventually only going to help the anti-People's Party.
But it must have been a difficult decision, given that for 2 years you were on the streets. You did a Padayatra of over 3,000 kilometers.
Okay.
So was it difficult one? And it's a sacrifice in that sense, right? And who is it going to benefit at best? The Congress Party. So why did you want to help the Congress Party at the cost of your own party and your own career?
Exactly. It is very true that I put in a lot of work into this party. It's a very young party. It's just 2 years. And I relentlessly fought on behalf of the people of Telangana. When I launched the party, unemployment was at the peak in Telangana. It is so even today. But even the government or the opposition parties were not talking about major issues like that. We had students killing themselves. Suicides were happening on the one side. Unemployment was a major issue and nobody were talking about it. So when I launched the party itself, we started off with a 3-day hunger strike actually. And then I went on to fast for almost 40 Tuesdays for the unemployed youth. And then I went on a 3,800 kilometer Padayatra, and it went through the rural parts of Telangana. It went through, all the sections of the people we touched. We spoke to farmers, we spoke to women, we spoke to the unemployed, we spoke to students, we spoke to the STs, SCs. So I went about 3,800 kilometers in this walkathon, questioning the government on its failure. I also happened to question the corruption of the local leaders of the BRS party in the respective constituencies, because until then the Congress, not the BJP, raised issues of the local leaders.
But then why give up all this suddenly for the Congress?
Exactly. And for that I was harassed by the local leaders. We were beaten with sticks and stones. The bus I was in was also burnt down, and I came to parade that to the Chief Minister. I was stowed away in the car while I was still there. So relentlessly I fought, even spending a night in the jail, being a woman. After having done all this, we have come to a junction. I do not know if it's the timing's fault or I do not know what to call it. But we are here at this junction where we have a chance. Telangana has a chance of changing the government. We have finally, after 10 years of KCR's tyranny, we have a hope now. And the onus fell on me to decide whether I am going to help change or whether I am going to help KCR come back to power. Even though I worked relentlessly for 2 years, the whole point of working so hard, the whole point of launching the party itself was to beat KCR. Because I'll tell you what, even I myself was impressed when KCR fought and his party fought for Telangana. We all thought that when he became the Chief Minister, we all thought he's going to be an amazing Chief Minister because the speeches he made were amazing. But when he actually became the Chief Minister, it started dying down. The whole thing, all his promises started diluting and nothing was fulfilled. So I really hope that after 5 years of KCR's regime, I hoped for a change. I thought Congress will come back to power, KCR will lose this government. But unfortunately, KCR, by his again, his amazing way of talking to the people and, with all his gimmicks, I should say, he came back to power. And even after then, I was like, fine, let's give him a chance. Because when he went for election the second term, he said 5 years was not enough for me. Give me another chance and then I'll impress you. Then I'll prove myself, is what he said. And we waited another 2 years. Along with all the other public, I also waited another 2 years to see if KCR will actually perform. And then nothing was happening again. This man was living in his guest house, his farmhouse. He is not available to the people. My father used to do a public darbar every single day that he was chief minister. This man is never available to the public or to his own
Sharmila,
ministers
if I
or
can
to his
just
own...
intervene,
Yeah.
while it's clear that you decided that you will not contest the election because you felt you would split votes.
When I took this decision, I did not take it for political reasons. I took it only because this was doing good to the people of Telangana. Frankly, I do not know the future. I do not know where this party will go. I do not know where I will go. I do not know what I will do next. But the only reason I took this decision is because I knew why I launched the party. I launched the party because I did not want KCR to come back to power.
You've called it a political suicide in one of the interviews.
Exactly.
You stand by that? And what was the personal cost of this decision for you?
I call it the political suicide. Some call it the political suicide because it's very unnatural for a political party to make a sacrifice like this for another existing political party. We probably never heard of anything like this before. But I'll tell you why I took this decision. I took this decision because my dad was in politics almost, 35 years. Even during his student years, he was part of the college fights and all that. And he was always a public man. He was always a people's man. And my father used to tell me this again. I remember very clearly that he said that, Paps, these governments, these political parties, all the communities in our country, everything is for the people and not the other way around. So everything, the government is supposed to be for the people. Political parties are supposed to be for the people. All the communities are supposed to be for the people. And so when I was taking this decision, I was thinking, if my political party is for the people, then I should take decisions that are good for the people and not for my party. My father only said, everything is for the people. The people are the end. They are not the means. On the other hand, these political parties are a means to achieve that end for the people, for the betterment of the people. My party is only a platform. I should not make a big mountain, a big deal out of my party because my party is not the big deal. I am not the big deal. Nobody is the big deal. It's the people that's the big deal. That's the end. And to get to that end, all these are just a means. You want to better their lives, that's why we launched the party. Now there is a chance of their lives changing. And if I contest and I pull the vote bank, if I split the anti-KCR vote bank, then I'm helping KCR indirectly. I really did not think about what the future would be or anything. I just thought, right now, this is the right thing to do. Because I believe there is a time for everything. There is a time for war and there is a time to,
So it's quite refreshing in an interview where a politician says that I was not thinking about the future. I don't know what holds for me. I am not the big deal here, or my political party is not the big deal. So I just want to go back to 2 years ago when you started the party. You were someone who was involved in politics for a long time with your father, then with your brother, with your party. Why did you suddenly decide to start a political party? And that also in Telangana? Somebody would have expected you to do it in Andhra Pradesh.
Well, Andhra Pradesh, yes, a lot of people did expect that, but that's because they're ignorant of my background. And my background is that I have always belonged to Telangana because I grew up here. I went to school in Abbots. I went to college in Medipatnam. I grew up here. I studied here. I married here. I bore a child here. I bore a daughter here and a son here. I belong here. My life is here. My past has been here. My future will be here. So I've always belonged here. I mean, though it came as a shock to many people, I believe that came as a shock because they were ignorant of my life here. But I've always belonged here. I've had friends here, I've had families here, I've built relationships here. So, I mean, I've been here, so I belong here. And when I thought of launching a political party, I thought of it because the people of Telangana were being cheated by Mr. KCR. Mr. KCR promised to deliver and he did not deliver. And that's the only reason that prompted me to launch a party, because I wanted to bring about a change. Because I was thinking, see, even KCR won the second time. Now he'll go a third time again. And if he goes the election for the third time and there are still the same players in the field, say Congress is there, BJP is there, KCR is there, what is the guarantee that KCR is not going to come back to power? So I was scared that he'll come back to power a third time. I wanted to do something for the people of Telangana because I belong in Telangana, and that's the only reason that prompted me to float a party in Telangana. And even the sacrifice I've made for the people of Telangana.
I get that point. But there are two things that is probably working against you. One is the fact that you firmly stood pre-2014, you stood against the bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh and the formation of Telangana. Do you think, one, people will overcome that and look at you as a person, accept you as a Telangana person? And two, you have also said that if your father was alive, he would not have allowed the bifurcation. So do you think these two factors could work against you even in the future?
No. Neither my father nor myself were against the bifurcation. You go back, you check the videos, all the speeches that we gave in the past also, we did not ever say we are against the bifurcation. I was always aware that the people of Telangana felt insecure, that they wanted more. I was always aware of it. But the only thing I was against was that this bifurcation that was being made was not made equitably. My father also said this, if you had to divide these two states, it's impossible for you to divide it equitably. You can't do justice to both the sides. Either you're doing justice to one and ditching the other, or you're the other way around. So my father was always clear that it's very hard to do this bifurcation, thereby let us remain one. As one strong state, we will have a major influence in the center. We can get what we want. But my father was always aware that Telangana people were insecure, and that's why when his first signature was, to benefit the farmers in Telangana. His first signature was free power, and he knew that there were many more motors in Telangana than the other regions of the Telugu state. He wanted to benefit the region of Telangana farmers. He wanted to do them, go rightly by them, and that's why he made that first signature in favor of the Telangana people. Jala Yagnam was his dream. He said he'll provide irrigation water to 1 crore acres of land, and even in that, 46 projects were started in Telangana, meaning majority of the projects he did belonged to Telangana. So he always he always prioritized Telangana. That way he was very aware that this insecurity, the feeling of insecurity is there in the Telangana people, and it was his onus, it was upon him to eradicate that. So that way he honored Telangana, he did everything he could, but he always felt that if a division had to be made, it had to be made equitably. Otherwise, both sides are going to be at loss in their own way. So that's why he was against it. And that's exactly what I spoke, that if you divide it, please go ahead and divide it. But if you divide it, please divide it equitably.
How do you think your father would have reacted to you heading a political party? I mean, he's no longer there to see this. Have you ever discussed of you being in politics? I mean, you were too young, but even then, of you being in politics, how do you think he would have seen it, and what would he have told you?
Actually, I do not think my father would have imagined this, because as a child, growing up years, I was always against politics as a career. I was in fact very, how do I put it? I actually abhorred politics, his own politics also, because I always grew up being away from my dad. Politics was was his career since a long time, even since before I was born. And that gave me very little time with my dad. So my dad, I used to probably just see him like for 3 dinners a week, that too half an hour. But the time he spent with me was, full of quality. Of course, he always sat me in his lap when I was young. And when I grew up, he always sat me beside him. He held my hand. He was playing with my fingers all the time. He spoke about various matters. He discussed many things with me and all that. But I couldn't understand that why did he choose politics? I never understood why he gave up being a doctor, because I would have been more happier. My family would have been more content with him being a doctor. So I ceased to understand his political ambition. Even until his later years, I never showed an interest in politics. It was only after my dad died that I put my first step into the public. Otherwise, I was always shielded. I was always protected. So I think my father would never imagine that I would be in politics. He would have said it's probably not your cup of tea. Not.
But you did take the decision.
Yes.
How isolating was it? Because, like Dhanya already mentioned, you're the first woman to do it, and it's no mean task, right? You didn't have support of a lot of your father's associates and his former colleagues, or even people he had mentored. So in that way, it was a lonely battle. What were the challenges, and what was it like for a woman who was being supported by another woman, your mother, with no major party structure or anything? How difficult was it?
It was very difficult because people close to me did not understand why I was doing this. Forget about supporting. Even if they did not support what I was doing, all I expected was just understand and say, it's okay, you go ahead, But even that wasn't there. But I found consolation in the fact that God knows my heart, my mom understands, and I'm doing this for the right reasons. Of course, being a woman in politics in India is a very, very difficult thing. When I launched the party, just in 2 years, I realized that this is not a woman's job. No wonder there are not so many women coming up to contest as MPs or MLAs in our country, because it is Indian men's mindset that's like this. They're just framed like that. Their ego, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it, but it's there.
Please do.
No, as in how even the visual of you sitting in that car and then
Yes.
not being allowed to get down, the car being towed. There's a lot of sexist behavior also,
Exactly.
right? Whether that's from other political parties, from within your own party, from people. So how did you take all that? Because you said you grew up very shielded also.
Yes. No, I grew up shielded, protected, of course.
Hmm.
But my dad never instilled it in me any kind of insecurity because I was a woman, because I was a girl. He always said, you have it in you, whatever you believe in, you go ahead, you do it. He always encouraged me, and he never discriminated in the house. Inside the house, the women were honored like queens, he saw me like a princess, literally. He pampered me a lot, and everybody who knows my family knows that all the world meant one thing to him, and I meant one thing to him. So he put me on such a pedestal, and he loved me with all of my heart. And the first thing he ever did, he always did whenever he saw me, was he stretched out his hand and said, Paps, no matter with who he was. He always stretched out his hand and he drew me near and he gave me a kiss every time he saw me. So one thing I always knew was that I was no less. But when I came into politics, it was an entirely different scenario. Here we have the chief minister's son itself saying that I am doing vratas when I went for Tuesday fast for the unemployed youth. Here we have ministers themselves calling me Mangalwar Sali. Very, very demeaning statements. Here we have BRS goons targeting not only the women in my party but myself. While I was still in the bus, taking rest, they burnt. They set it to light. They put fire to the bus. Here we have the KCR's government towing away a woman while she was still in the car, fighting for the people. Here we have, the KCR's government working so against women that Dalit women were beaten up in prisons. Mariamma, a Dalit woman, was beaten up. Here we have ST women fighting for their land rights, who were snatched by their hair. They were mothers of young infants. Almost 22 people, 22 women were snatched and put in a prison cell. They were refused even water and basic food. They were made to clean the police station. They were not even given the courtesy of, using the restroom. Here, this is what it is. The reality is in Telangana. It probably is like this all over India. This has to change. Today we are fighting for 33% reservation in women's bill. What is this? We are 50% of the population. It's a shame to be fighting for 33%. We should be there 50% in any parliament house, in any assembly house and in the parliament houses. But here we are still fighting for 33% for women's rights. And even in 33%, women do not come up to contest because of the discrimination, because of how they're treated, because of the humiliation, because of all of these things. This whole mindset has to change. How? How is this going to happen? Where is the modernization of India? We are all cosmopolitan cities, metropolitan. What are we talking about? Where is women empowerment in India?
But this
Actual women, the rural women I'm talking about.
This attitude that you talk about of sexism, patriarchy, it's also, do you think, there in the media? It's propagated quite a bit. Like, are you treated differently or looked at separately by the media also because you're a woman politician? Like, when you took the decision of not contesting, do you think a male politician would have got the same reaction as you did?
No. Social media, those comments and all those things that you go ahead, that you see, you will realize that, oh, so she's chickened out because she's a woman. I'm not contesting election because I am a woman, therefore I chickened out. They do not understand that only a woman could have made this sacrifice. Only a woman can be a mother. There's a reason God made only women can be mothers, only women to bear. The reason is that only women can make that kind of sacrifice. That kind of, where you see people, where you see others as your own children, where you're so moved by that emotion. They do not even understand the concept of motherhood. So how do you expect these people to actually understand what women are going through? So I'm not contesting the election only because I'm a woman, and as a woman, the natural thing for a woman to do is to chicken out. That's biased. That's very sexist, and that's very, I should say, very unnatural. It shouldn't be like this.
How do you think your father would have looked at politics today? It's so different. Every party has political consultancies. That was not there during his time. The way elections are fought now, it's so much on social media, money, liquor.
Yes.
How do you think he would have seen elections and politics now?
I think he would have been ashamed of the system of what we've turned out into. Those days it was like a politician had to be diligent and hardworking. My father was out of town, away from his family almost 4 or 5 days a week. He had to tour not only his constituencies, but as a congressman, he had to visit other places, also. And then it meant that a politician is the people's man. Any issue they have, anybody comes up with a request for a hospital or for a school or for a job or anything, he made sure they went out with a letter from his hand or a phone call from his side. Now it's not like that. Politicians are hardly visible to the people. Once you garner your votes, that's it. People are being seen as the voting machines, as ATMs for votes. They are not seen as people who have lives behind them, who need homes, who need hospital facilities, who need their education for their children, who need jobs for their kids. No, Politicians don't see all this. These days, the politicians are businessmen. These politicians are the richest politicians in the country. Today, you have Telangana, a debt-ridden state. But the family of KCR, once KCR used to go on a scooter. At one point in time, he was wearing rubber slippers and going on a scooter. Now you have KCR's family buying planes and helicopters, living in grand farmhouses and fortresses. These are the most corrupt and most richest politicians running the country, and it's like this in a lot of states in our country. And this has become the norm of the day. To run an election, you need to pump money, and money is what runs the election. You give out money to the people, you give out liquor, you give out everything, all freebies that you want, and this is how it is. Even people have become indifferent to the way the politicians are because the younger generation has not seen the older politicians, how hard they worked. So they probably think this is the way it is, but it is not. And it's not supposed to be this way. Politicians are people that have to think for the people, that have to work for the people, that have to be there amongst the people. That's what my father was, and that's what he taught me. I hope the system changes. I hope BJP party or Congress party, whoever is in the center, they think of electoral reforms. It's very, very important that electoral reforms be brought into our country, that the amount spent on these elections be really curtailed. Election Commission be really active in making sure that money is not spent like this. You know, something has to be done, otherwise our country has no hope.
What is the situation with the Congress right now? Will you resume talks after elections, or is there any assurance from their end? How is it looking there?
Well, I did not do this because somebody would credit me for this, or the Congress would credit me for this. Mainly, I did this because the people of Telangana needed a change. I did not want KCR to come back to power because KCR will end up not fulfilling the promises again to the people of Telangana. And because I see Congress party as the largest secular party of India, I've always respected the Congress party for that. Putting aside my differences, my past differences with the Congress party, I have always honored Congress party as the biggest secular party of our country. There are so many religions in our country, so many castes in our country. All these people need to feel safe. We saw what happened in the Manipur. So many Christians were vandalized. 2,000 churches were vandalized. 60,000 people became homeless. All this is because we do not have a secular party in power at the center. Had it been Congress, I'm sure it wouldn't have been so bad. All I'm saying is, Congress party, I'm not saying is the perfect party, but I'm saying that I'm sure will be a definite, I'm sure it will be a better alternative than the KCR party, because KCR's party is a regional party that's a family-based party. Here you have a father, a son, a daughter, rule the entire state, and there is no accountability here. And these people have right now, they live in fortresses, in farmhouses. They do not appear before the public unless it's the election time. It's like the Kumbhakarna's rule. It's like 6 months before the election, you get up, you roam in the public, you give them false promises, and then you get the votes. And because you made the money, you distribute the votes. Maybe that will also help. That's how it is here.
My final question to you before we wrap up. Where do you see your future, your political party's future? You did say that you don't know about the future, but what is it that you think should happen or will happen?
I think I am going to be in Telangana. I am going to fight for the people of Telangana. I am sure that no party is a perfect party. Even if Congress comes to power, I think that they are bound to make mistakes. And I am going to be there for the people, fighting for the people. So wherever I am, what platform is not important to me, but me being there for the people is what is important to me.
Thank you for that. So that was YS Sharmila telling us that she is here to stay in Telangana. You are watching this interview as part of the News Minute and News Laundry's joint coverage of the election. We have an election fund. Hundreds of people have contributed to that, and that's what powered our election coverage. So do join in. Any last thoughts, Pooja?
We'll continue bringing you more detailed, more nuanced conversations like these, and not just, what this person is saying or that person is saying, but we can do this only with your support. So do become a member, a subscriber of the News Minute. And like Dhanya said, don't forget to contribute to the joint fund of the News Laundry and the News Minute. Thank you.
News Laundry,
The News Minute.
News Laundry,
The News Minute,
News Laundry and the News Minute
are coming together.
साथ आ रहे हैं
5 states, 2 independent media organizations, and 1 team.
so log on to newslaundry.com,
Contribute to the News Minute and News Laundry Election Fund.
Joint Election Fund.
TNM, NL,
Joint Election Fund.
तो हमारा सहयोग करें
contribute now
Because we are stronger together.
क्योंकि साथ साथ मिलकर ही हम सब मजबूत होंगे
क्योंकि सागे आपा मजबूत रेसा
Kalisi untene balanga untam.
we're stronger together.
And we're even stronger with you.